Louisiana versus all y'all. Jarrett Roser here with a familiar face, Brett McCormick, up in central Louisiana, a guy who, some of these previous conversations talking about some officiating dynamics. We talked about his background, both in that world as well as how much he's helped kind of shining some light on some central Louisiana, North Louisiana guys on Louisiana versus all y'all the last couple of years now. And so, Brett, appreciate you taking some more time to chat about things as this football season, at least, fast approaches.
And it's right here. And certainly, anytime we get a chance to talk about officiating, shine stuff, I'm glad to do it. So good to be here.
So the topic for today, essentially, as we are just a couple of weeks out from kicking off this football season, there was a report by KALB up in your area of the state about some of the concerns with officials' numbers, as well as just kind of the relative age range and where we are. And it's something similar to what we talked about before, off air with some sports writer dynamics as well, where you see the population in a certain profession that is, important to these sports happening. You don't see as much of an influx of youngsters into the profession. And from an official standpoint, as KALB reported, there's some concerns of, are there going to be enough officials, particularly in central Louisiana, to have all of these games even certainly occur as scheduled, and how much is going to have to be moved around and things of that nature. What has been your sense talking to some other key people involved in terms of where we are with that sort of stuff just a couple weeks out?
Yeah, man. So like when I had seen the headline, but story, you reached out to me about, hey, you want to talk about this? So I did some reporting, and Lee Sanders, who's the head of officiating for the LHSAA, and also named Jeff Ryan, who's with the Alexandria Football Officials Association. And so there are some real challenges to this. So one of the things that Lee Sanders, and look, all of this came from a football officiating clinic that in live Pineville High School. There were over 1,100, there were over 300 officials from across the state that came in. Every year we have to do a clinic, or every 2 years we have to do a clinic to maintain our certification of officials in town. And I went sort of in an official capacity for SOA. I was taking pictures and stuff, but I got to go through it, which was, pretty eye-opening for me. But one of the things that Lee Sanders talked about was the ages of officials. He gave me, he said about 25% of all officials across sports, not just football, are over the age of 60. So, think about like that's kind of retirement age. A quarter of the officials in Louisiana over the age of 60. 55 to 60% of officials are over the 50, and only 6 to 8% of all officials under the age of 30. And that's a pretty, that's the jarring, eye-opening number. It's like, as these guys get older and older and older, they're going to come off the books, and we got to replace them. And we just a lot of young officials, and that's not even to talk about. We just as many officials total, or good qualified officials, as we need across the board. So it is an issue, and I think some things are going to lay across the state, maybe that aren't different to you guys in South Louisiana, New Orleans. You guys are used to sharing stadiums and having games on Thursdays and Saturdays, and that's nothing new. But here in Sinlon and North Louisiana, that's not something that really all that often. And now they're having to move some games around because it's got to put quality people on the field, and to do that, you can't do that with all the games nights. So
on the immediate horizon for this season, is there a concern that there might not be able to have some of the games at all, or it's more a matter of just shifting them around to be able to spread them out over the course of a weekend?
So it's right now, it's not really a fear of, oh man, we're going to have games canceled. That's not a concern, but there are going to be shifting around. As Lee Sanders told me, sending officials from one association 200 miles away to another association to cover a game just because they don't have. But the one thing that really stood out to me in our exchange when he was, I was doing my reporting, is he says, I don't know of any varsity high school football that's under threat of not being played. So I want to stress that. He said about cancellation, but things might look different. You check the schedules on the LHSA website, there's probably more Thursday night games scheduled this year than in the past. Have some Saturday games just because, maybe we've, here in Alexandria, the numbers are, we had about 70 officials, and that includes clock operators. So not just on the field, 5, 6, 7 man, but the people up in the booth that are running the play clock and the game clock. But they said they would like to have 80 to 85, and they were sitting around 70. Ultimately, 90 to 100 is the goal. So, you're talking 20 to 30 short of where they really want to be, and 10 to 15 short of kind of like what they need. So there are going to be some changes. There's going to be some moving around. I know in Lafayette, the teams send in their schedule. They schedule their games. Everything's scheduled for Friday night. And the association, the refs say, okay, this is your Thursday night game. We don't have enough guys to cover everything on Fridays. And so that's happening maybe more in the state as well.
And obviously, I asked that not at all to downplay. It's great to hear that we're not expecting games to have to be canceled, but it's obviously still a concern for the ability to manage all of it right now. And then as we talked about, a few minutes ago, the dynamic that so many of the officials, the percentage of the officials that are of a certain age means that for the near future, it could become that much further of an issue in subsequent seasons. What is your thought in terms of what drew you to officiating and what you would like to maybe see other younger individuals potentially see in terms of a value or an opportunity to get involved, other than to help solve that problem, but to speak to a level of passion that has to go into it as well?
Right. For me, it was just a way to stay involved with sports, a sport that I loved, or it was 2 sports that I loved. So just not to go in too deep in the woods, but at the time, I was a sports writer full time. That's what I was doing. And then my position got eliminated, and I moved from sports to news. So I was no longer covering games every Friday night, and I was looking for a way to stay involved in sports. And so I saw on our Agate page in the Town Talk this announcement for this basketball meeting. You interested in reffing? Come to this meeting. And so I was like, look, I'm looking to stay involved. I'll do it. No idea if I'd be any good, if I'd like it. And man, I caught the bug. And I think I tell so many young athletes, you finish playing high school sports, you're going off to college. And they help us in Sinlau because here in Alexandria, we don't have ULL, Tech, LSU. We don't have these big colleges. But I tell you're 19, 20, 21, you're looking for some money, and you can go make 60, 70 bucks a game reffing basketball, doing something that you love. Even at the junior high level, 35, 40 bucks a game. 3 games, you make 120 bucks instead of going and working or whatever you can do as a college student. So I tell all athletes, when your career is over and you're ready, you're trying to stay involved in the sport. And this is a great way to stay involved and make some money, to stay in shape, just be that you love. And so if we can get those kids to get in, hooked, and enjoy it and stay, but that's the hardest problem. Day. I was 27 years old when I first, and I wished I'd started at 18, but my life was, like I said, I was a sport. So I wasn't really interested in reffing basketball. I was covering basketball. But 27 when I got into it, and I was the second youngest person in our association. Well, now I'm 42, and I'm telling you, less than 2 hands than me who have come in and stuck with it. I mean, we've had new people every year, but them come in um, and stick with it, because that's one of the things that Lee Sanders said. It's not numbers. It's not about how many guys you register. It's about getting qualified, trained officials. So you can't come in, you're a great playoff official, right? You got to come in, learn all of the rules, learn all of the mechanics to do it at a quality level. So, we're looking at it like a 3 to 5 year process before I can get you ready to where, if you're going to be good, you can be good. So like, if I get a really good official to sign this year, I'm looking at 2027, 2028 before, hey, let's go call a quarterfinal game together. So it's a process trying to get people to stay. And there's so many, and there've been, Fambro's been great. She's written a number of articles about like the problems, dealing with fans and dealing with coaches. And it's just, there seems to be some, disconnect with expectations towards officials, and not being a human being and being, I mean, I had a summer league game this summer that I just killed. The fans and the coaches and the players are screaming at each other, and asked security to, step in, and just, we couldn't get it. I was like, look, this is just a dangerous situation for everybody involved. It's over. And so about that as a summer league game, that doesn't matter. Now, that up when you're dealing with varsity games with people's jobs on the line and money that's involved in athletics. And so there are just people that don't want to deal with that, right? And then there's, I'm sitting here talking about the shortage of football officials, and I don't ref football. I have other things that I would rather be doing on a Friday night. I'm covering games, I'm taking pictures, I'm involved, but I'm not wearing the stripes. Everybody has to, that's a challenge. Everybody has to, decide what's worth it. But I have a lot of good friends that ref football who do it at a high level, very good refs. And, they're always, they try to get me to sign up every single, because they need people. I mean, it is what it is. And I haven't gotten to a part of my life where I'm ready to let go of the other stuff that I do on Friday night ref football. So, but if you are interested, please consider reaching out to your local association. Reach out to me. My Twitter account's there. You can reach out, put you in touch with wherever you are in Louisiana. I can get your assignment secretary or the person high school association where you are, if you're interested in joining. So we need lots of them.
And you mentioned some of the challenges in terms of other individual, groups that are involved in any game setting, and some of the challenges with fans or coaches or whoever it may be. And it's obviously a complex situation with a lot of passion flying around from a variety of different directions. And so there's not really an easy answer, but as you share kind of your thought to prospective officials and getting involved, do you have any thought on, what to say to coaches or fans or anybody who obviously they have a lot of reactions, and it's usually very critical of officials, of just how to handle it. They want quality officials, and whether they're going to judge that fairly of what constitutes a quality official or not, they certainly have their opinions, just how to handle some situations to not escalate things in a way that it becomes that much less attractive of a thing to get involved with.
Funny, because I've been involved in this thing on every side. Like,
right.
Growing up as I was a terrible attitude towards refs. And so I've kind of joked, I'm just getting my karma payback, right? Because I was so bad. And then I've been a coach on the sideline who's yelling at the ref, So like, I get it. Like, we're dealing with passion. Like, everybody's passionate, from the coaches, the players, the parents, everybody is passionate. And so, but the older I've gotten, the more I've tried to realize that just like, people have as human beings, like it doesn't have to be an adversarial relationship between officials and coaches, officials and players, officials and fans get like, look, we're not perfect. Like NBA refs aren't perfect. NBA refs aren't perfect. You're dealing with second decisions. Especially at basketball, you're making 1,000 decisions a night, and it's crazy how fast that the game happens, even at the high school. So we're not going to make everybody happy. I just have gotten to try to let's all like take a breath, and I tell coach, like, especially if I miss a call, I'll tell the coach, hey, like, you can say whatever you want to me, just make sure it's between you and me, and nobody else hears what's going on, just because then it escalates and it gets, we've got to find a way to make it to where at the end of the day, at the high school level, this is about the student athlete experience, right? And so we're to, we say all the time, you can't have football games without refs. You can't have basketball without refs, but we're there kind of in a service industry. It's about the kids and allowing them to pursue the passions that they have. And so we try to all work on the same team, because we all have the same goal. The same goal is, you want your kid's team to win. Coach wants his team to win. We want the best team to win, that we didn't affect the outcome. So we just have a good experience and have a good time. And I know that emotions get in the way. But the funny thing is, I have some great relationships with, and they may scream at me during the game, and then afterwards we can laugh about it, and have a lot of respect for so many people here that I've gotten to know over the years. And the sad thing is, as I get older, some of them lost one. Alan Tinsley just retired. Was a great guy. I always enjoyed games because he was, so passionate about it. We've got Coach Smith here, and then, so it's just, those relationships are important, and we try to give them what we can give, and then they in turn, they have expectations for us, and we try to meet. We fall short sometimes, so it's just part of the thing.
There you go. Well, I certainly appreciate, what you do and what y'all as officials do, and appreciate, again, your time right now we're recording this on a Sunday afternoon to kind of chat about some of the issues. So thanks for your time, your perspective and everything. And thanks to everyone who tuned in and learned a little bit more, I hope, about kind of the situation as well as your perspective. And again, as Brett pointed out, his Twitter handle is right there on his nameplate. And so if you have interest in getting involved in officiating, he's got connections around the state and can certainly help. If you're not in that Alexandria area, still connect you to get to the right folks to potentially get involved. But thanks again, everyone, for watching. And Brett, thanks so much, man.
Take care, man.
You got it. Again, he's Brett McCormick. I'm Jared Roser. This is Louisiana versus all y'all. Thank y'all.